Good evening, everybody. Welcome, or good evening, good afternoon. I'm wishing my life away. Welcome to Carrow Road for what is a very interesting afternoon. And Norwich City have made 6 changes to their starting lineup. 6 changes. I'll repeat that again. 6 changes for Norwich City. They line up like this: Gunning goal, Byram, Hanley, Gibson, and McCallum looks to be the back 4. Hayden and Gibbs looks to be a midfield 2. Dow, Ramsey, Hernandez all behind Teemu Pukki. Josh Sargent misses out with that calf injury that Dean Smith was talking about yesterday. A subbench of Tim Krul, Max Aarons, Jordan Hugill, Todd Cantwell, Gabby Sara, Marcelino Nunez and Jonathan Tompkinson. Seismic changes from Dean Smith there this afternoon. 6 Norwich City changes. Paddy Davitt should be joining me, and he will, like you, have been listening to that team news. Pad, as you wait your way up the stairs, 6 changes for Norwich City. What does that tell you about this afternoon?
Sorry, Connie, you'll have to probably run through that 11 for me again, but I heard the number 6. I didn't quite hear the changes, but while you get the team news out again, I would say...
Good afternoon from Carrow Road in Norwich.
That is quite a signal of intent. Here we go. Right, okay. Gun, Byram, okay, yeah, Hanley, Gibson, McCallum, no Sargent, yeah. Didn't do the presser yesterday, but given that's calf injury, wasn't it, he said. So that is a blow. But, well, you know, it probably does need a shake-up. You know, I thought Dean Smith reading the comments yesterday. Cheers. He did come out fighting, to be fair, as he needs to do in the current predicament. And that lineup sort of suggests, you know, that is the case. I think it's a little bit harsh on Tompkinson, if I'm honest. You know, Ben Gibson hasn't exactly covered himself in glory for me, and I thought Tompkinson looked decent alongside Grant Hanley. But maybe what that is, let's be honest, this could get a little bit spicy in terms of the atmosphere and the negativity around the place. And you know, if you've got one of your more experienced players on the pitch there, who's probably experienced these type of days before, in Ben Gibson, maybe that's where he's going in terms of erring on that side. I mean, he's obviously got Hayden in there as well, Teemu Pukki, you know, Grant Hanley, very experienced lads. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. Zara and Cantwell, I thought Cantwell's been decent the last 2 games, and Zara, much like the rest of the team, didn't have his best night at Burnley, but you just thought that now he's got that start again, and Nunez as well. So you know, whether that is an element of rolling the dice for one last chance or not, I don't know, but it does seem like an awful lot of changes, and maybe just a reflection of where he didn't think they were good enough in the middle of the park, you know, the other night, in terms of getting out, getting pressing a lot higher. But you know, I'm looking down there, and Onel, I suppose, offers a little bit more of a direct thrust. But then, you know, I saw the Alex Neil press conference, and he felt clearly that Norwich were going to have a lot of the ball. So, you know, does that lend it more for a Nunez, a Campbell, or a Zara? I don't know, but yeah, ultimately, that's quite a signal of intent there from Dean Smith, and maybe indicates that, you know, he was less than impressed with what he saw at Burnley. And ultimately, the state of play as it stands, they need to get a win from somewhere. And you know, those lads on duty at Turf Moor didn't cut the mustard really. So you know, and he has the squad depth. We all know that. You know, some enviable resource for this level, and he's certainly dipping into his bag today. So yeah, we will see. I mean, that's, you know, a lot more of an experienced backline than midweek. But that middle of the park, I mean, it's going to be, you know, Hayden, Dowell, Ramsey, Gibbs. Big onus on Isaac Hayden in that setup, I think, off that defensive protection. And then I'm interested in, you know, you come back in here, Connor, and what sort of setup they're going to go with there, because I'm not immediately looking at the mix around Teemu Pukki there. You know, is it on L and Ramsey either side of him in the 3? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one for me. It looks like it could be a 4-2-3-1 with Dow maybe on one side, Ramsey maybe on one side, and Hernandez on the other. It could be a 4-3-3, and Dowell or Ramsey could occupy one of those central midfield slots in one of those kind of more advanced 8 roles that we know Dean Smith likes his teams to operate in. So I think there's flexibility in there, but I think what we will definitively see today is Norwich City playing with 2 wide men. I think we've had a lot of debate in recent weeks about whether the teams that they were lining up with would be a 3 and a 1 and then a 2. I think today, and obviously we'll wait and see exactly how they line up, but it does look like it is going to be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 in my view, and obviously those formations are relatively interchangeable anyway, as is the nature of them. I'll read you the Stoke team. They've lined up in what looks to be a 4-3-3 this afternoon. They've got Bursic in goal, Clark, Jagielka, Wilmot and Fox as their back 4, Spallbone, Lawrence and Baker as the midfield 3, with Brown and Fosu either side of Dwight Gale, who does enjoy a goal against Norwich City. Their subs bench, Bonham, Flint, Thompson, Delap, Powell, Wright, Phillips and Tom Sparrow. So an interesting selection choice from Stoke City. It's interesting what you said there about Alex Neil and him expecting Norwich to have a lot of the ball. I mean, that lineup doesn't particularly suggest one. I mean, although in fairness to Dean Smith, he's often picked lineups that have suggested, as you reference, that they are going to look to dominate the ball. And it hasn't quite worked. That looks to be a bit more varied in terms of you've got Hernandez's pace and thrust. You've got Kieran Dowell, who's maybe a bit more technical. It does feel probably a bit more of a better blend of attackers rather than maybe what we've seen in recent weeks, which is just merely technicians being thrown onto the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair comment. On El, we know what he offers. On a good day, he adds that end product in terms of decision making. But irrespective, he will stretch the play. He will put defenders on the back foot, and but it doesn't immediately sort of fit, does it, with a team who would expect to dominate the ball? It's more of a counter-attacking thrust. So whether there's a bit of a double bluff going on there, I mean, clearly, you know, with Gibbs and Ramsey particularly, and Dowell, of course, you do have those midfielders who can offer that composure on the ball. Feel like we're always saying whenever Kieran Dowell gets to start, it's a big afternoon for him or a big day for him. You know, he hasn't really, for me, in his entire Norwich career, if I'm honest, really, you know, put down the marker that I deserve to be almost, you know, the creative focal point that you build an attacking unit around, because he has that ability. We all know that. We've seen glimpses of it. But we haven't seen the consistency. And of course, he was in the lineup here, Luton, wasn't it? And, you know, that laryngitis sort of ruled him out on that occasion. But back in today, you know, Dean Smith clearly likes him as a player. I think he feels he can offer something. But, you know, I'll just like him to take a game by the scruff of the neck and really put his stamp on it. Because if he did that at this level, I think he could dictate games. And, you know, it would offer a bit more of that attacking punch and composure and you know, ability to break down defences, which, you know, too often this season under Smith we haven't seen enough of, really. So, but I'm still trying to digest no Zara, no Nunes. I find that quite a strange one when, you know, they're your 2 summer signings, both now fully fit, and yet they're not able to make an 11. You know, it maybe underlines where they are in terms of the results and performances, but you know, it's not a great signal at the minute in terms of the recruitment they did. But as I say, maybe he's erring on the side of with a Hayden, with a Gibson, you know, trying to almost control the controllables and you know, have that experienced core, because he knows today for me is about a result, and if he doesn't get a result today, then I think this home fans will let their feelings known, and then we'll take it from there. What comes after that? But you know, this is a massive day. His 50th appearance or 50th game in charge, and he needs a landmark result for me today. Because if he doesn't get a result today, and it's 1 win in 9, as it would be then, you know, and that would be 3. I think I'm right in saying 3 straight home defeats, which any team who have aspirations to get out of this division, you need to have decent home form, and you know, 3 consecutive home defeats is, well, it says what it says. It's, you know, it's an unacceptable state of affairs, and how long that can continue. You know, it would be hard to see how it could limp on if this side of the World Cup break, he's not able to put some wins on the board.
Yeah, just last question in terms of the team news, and then we'll come to your reflections or your view on how today may well transpire. No Max Aarons on the bench this afternoon. Sam Byram comes straight back from injury to replace him at right back. We've not seen him at right back for, dare I even say, since he's returned from injury. It's been quite a while since we've seen Sam Byram playing it as a right back, which is his natural position, it should be said. He's played left back and centre back, of course, in the intervening period. And I think there was actually a game against Chelsea where we may well have seen him at right back from memory. What do you make of that? Because I think there has been some scrutiny of Aarons' performances. It is quite rare, though, in his Norwich City career that we see him dropped out. So, what do you make of that?
Well, yeah, there might be an element of that. I mean, there's obviously the fitness element, although he is fit enough to go onto the bench. So you think that was less a factor in this decision. Byram's come straight back in, though. I mean, how many games is that he's missed? Yeah, he's fit enough to come straight back into the 11. Maybe that's a fair assessment, Connor. That is a reflection on Max and his performance levels. Haven't quite been good enough. He's not the only one, obviously, but it is a surprise. There's no doubt about it. And Gibson's, like I say, the biggest surprise for me, for him to come in again for Tompkinson. I can only feel that's an experience thing in what might be a day for your experienced players because of the atmosphere and the status and the state of play and the mood around this place. So. Yeah, I don't think Max can have too many complaints if it's done on form. But by the same token, Byram, I don't think has looked like he's a massive upgrade this season. I thought he'd been a bit inconsistent in his own performance levels. So he gets the nod today, and it's for him to, say, okay, I've got the shirt, I intend to keep it, and I'm only going to do that through my performance levels.
How do you see this going then, Pad? It's hard to shake the feeling that this is a big afternoon for Norwich City, for Dean Smith, for the fan feeling, the fan mood, if not anything else. How do you see this game transpiring? Because for me, if Norwich City come out of the blocks and we maybe don't see that early surge or an early goal, it kind of feels like the longer that this Stoke City team, under Alex Neil, by the way, and that return is a whole other narrative in itself. But if this Stoke team comes here and frustrates this team, this crowd, I think we can all probably expect the way that it may go in terms of mood in the stands before we even get to anything on the pitch. So how do you see this game going this afternoon?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of a leap of faith to this now because, the way they haven't performed of late, it's very hard to construct an argument. They will come out here today and look cohesive and they'll score goals and they'll be defensively robust and ultimately they'll win the game. Because on the evidence of the last 9 games, I don't think we've seen those elements consistently. So, but on the other side of the coin, there's a feeling now it has to be now or never, really, if it's going to be this head coach. And whether that galvanises or sharpens the focus today to come out and, as he did yesterday, accept it hasn't been good enough and accept, there's a lot of things they need to improve. But if they get a line in the sand performance and result today, then it rolls on to QPR midweek, and then there's another 2 games this side of international break, and you get a decent haul. I think Dean Smith said after Burnley, he said they get 7, 8, 9 points was his phrase from these next 4 games. The feeling around the place and also the status in terms of the league and the points differential to the top clubs will look different, no doubt about it. But it's all very well hypothesising. They now need to deliver, and if they don't, then we saw what it was like here at the end of the Luton game and the Preston game. I think it'd be that and more again today. So for many reasons, but principally for this head coach, this is a big game, and because of that, you just think that. Because what I would say is even Burnley, as poor as they were in terms of controlling the game, there wasn't any lack of the old cliche playing for the manager. The way they fought, the way they battled. Yes, lacking in quality, lacking in composure on the ball, all of those elements. But I don't look at any of these recent games and think they've down tools, to use that phrase. So that is the case, it's really about Smith and Shakespeare and Bramley deconstructing what Alex Neil's going to try and do. And hopefully that's a lineup that can do that. And then if they get a result, then the world looks a brighter place, doesn't it? So I'm thinking probably 2-1 Norwich. You, Connor?
Yeah, well, I was going to go 2-0 Norwich. I just feel we'll have to get a response, won't we, of some description. It feels like it has to happen. It's kind of the way it feels, if only for the feeling of the fans and keeping the fans on side more than anything else. But you referenced the place feeling brighter. Let's hope it does feel brighter come 5 o'clock. Paddy, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you all very much for watching. Of course, Pinken.com, the place to go, and Pinken Plus app as well for all on the live blog. Do come and join me. It's going to be an interesting afternoon, I think, irrespective of what happens on the pitch. But for all your analysis, reaction, and coverage of this game as well, do join us over there. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your afternoon, be it at Carrow Road or elsewhere, and we'll see you again very, very soon.